the August 27th, 2019 regular board meeting of the Everett Public Schools Board of Directors. The meeting is hereby called to order. Can you please stand and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the secretary please call the roll?
President Andrews.
Present.
Vice President Mason.
Present.
Director Lassane.
Present.
Director Mitchell.
Present.
Director Nankar.
Present.
Thank you. Our first item of business is the adoption of the agenda. Dr. Saltzman, will you please introduce this afternoon's agenda?
Thank you. Tonight's agenda contains a recognition item, segment for public comments, segment for public routine business, the superintendent's report, segment of unfinished business, a segment for new business, and upcoming agenda items. Since publishing the agenda, the following changes have been made. Item 7.24, acceptance of board annual meeting plan for 2019-20. The draft was updated after cabinet review. Item 7.25, approval of revised board agenda format. The latest revision was uploaded. Item 9.01, superintendent's report was added. Item 14.01, regular meeting, September 10th, 2019. The meeting content was updated. The board may elect to change order by business by majority of vote of the members.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. And the agenda is adopted. We'll move on to section 5.0, recognitions. And this afternoon, we are excited to honor our Everett Public Schools Teacher of the Year and nominee.
Well, thank you. This is one of my favorite things I get to do is to introduce our Teacher of the Year. The Teacher of the Year program is sponsored by OSPI and supported by ESD 189. Any teacher in our district can be nominated, but few make it past the rigorous application and screening process. I'm pleased tonight to recognize 2 teachers today who were nominated. They filled out the extensive application, participated in a site visit from the ESD, and are deserving of our recognition. One will be recognized as a nominee, and the other will be recognized as our Teacher of the Year. So I'd like to call up our nominee, which is Mrs. Megan Williams. Come on up. Yes. Mrs. Williams has taught music at View Ridge Elementary School for the past 27 years. She understands that music allows all students a place that they can shine brightly and showcase their skills. And she's able to get 580 students to sing in unison, which is a marvel, I believe. Mrs. Williams ensures that everyone in the school can sing the school expectation song and help students learn to say hello in multiple languages so each student can be greeted in their home language. The nominating committee commented that Mrs. Williams personifies the district's values and beliefs. She excels at building community and demonstrates lifelong learning. Mrs. Williams understands the importance of establishing relationships with students and offers a rich musical experience to build on their future success. I am proud to recognize Mrs. Megan Williams as a Teacher of the Year nominee.
Thank you so much to the school board, and thank you so much to Everett Public Schools. I'm so proud to be a part of the Everett School District, teaching 580 kids each and every year. I've had strong support from great leaders like Karen Koster, Kurt Lansing, Tina Farias, and Joyce Stewart. Through their guidance and leadership, we have had growth mindset and perseverance while striving to meet the needs of our students and making a true difference in the community. We've made a huge impact. One of those impacts was in my classroom with a 3rd grade student when she yelled out, She's like our music mommy. And before I could say a word, they all started chanting, she's our music mommy, she's our music mommy. And though I knew it wasn't PC, and I knew I should probably correct them, I didn't. Because the little girl that started yelling that never spoke. She was always quiet and did not have a mother. So today I'm proud to be part of Everett Public Schools. I'm proud of Miss Branch, our Teacher of the Year, and proud to be her teammate. Thank you.
So we'll call her back up in a minute for a presentation. But next I'll call up Mrs. Mary Elizabeth Branch, who I'd like to recognize as our Teacher of the Year, and she is from Jefferson Elementary School. So Mrs. Branch has been a teacher since 2000. She's taught at every grade K through 5 in both public and private schools, including the Sidwell Friends School in Washington, D.C. Ms. Branch joined our district in 2016, and she has taught at Woodside and Jefferson in 3rd and 1st grade and is looking forward to greeting kindergarten students this year. You are a brave woman.
Yeah.
Ms. Branch takes time to uncover each student's path of achievement and adapt to their learning style. Her class is an inspirational canvas with positive affirmations on the wall that help students envision themselves as learners. Students are surrounded by their own masterpieces of creativity that showcase their individuality and inspire them to express themselves openly. Every student contributes every day, sharing their gifts with the class. In reviewing her application, the committee said, building relationships is the cornerstone of Ms. Branch's work. Her daily actions reflect her deep belief in the importance of knowing her students and engaging in solid educational practices to improve student achievement for future success. Ms. Branch is passionate about closing the achievement gap and provides opportunities for students to engage in service learning. She ensures high expectations and provides culturally relevant instruction each day to every student. She clearly demonstrates exceptional instructional skills in all aspects of her classroom. It is a joy to be in her class. And all of these factors contribute to Miss Mary Elizabeth Branch being named the 2019-2020 Everett Public Schools Teacher of the Year.
I would like to thank the school board and Everett Public Schools just for this honoree, and it's just been a whirlwind and such a, how can I express, because a wonder. I enjoy doing what I'm doing as a teacher, but what I really enjoy is just being in that classroom, helping students to see their greatest potential. And just to be recognized for something like this will always forever be dear to me. And I would like to thank everyone who has been in support for me at the school district. And also, I really want to thank my mom. Without her, I wouldn't be here. She has traveled with me across the country to different states. And it's just an honor just to have her here with me today, and with all the people that's here with me from Jefferson Elementary School, and for all the superintendents, just for your support. And I didn't get a chance to know you, but thank you so much. It's great to have a colleague that's also as great as everyone here at Everett Public Schools. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Nice.
So we do need both of you to come back up here, and the board will come down. We have some little trophies for you. Kids, oh my gosh. We are honored and we're definitely making a difference in our Blessed to have you in our schools. Thank you very much.
She has her glasses on.
Yes. Come on up.
Hey, everybody. 3, 2. All right. Got it.
Congratulations, yes. Congratulations again. You got it. Thank you, Sally. Thank you.
Oh, yes.
That's the best, right? That's it.
We'll move on to section 6.0, audience comments. The school board sets aside time during each regular board meeting to hear from our constituents. We do this because we value public input and want to hear and understand the perspectives you bring to the table. Dr. Saltzman, are there any requests to comment this afternoon?
Not at this time.
Thank you. We will move on to section 7, consent agenda.
Consent agenda. The board's consent agenda includes repetitive business items such as meeting minutes, personnel actions, expense vouchers, surplus lists, gifts and grants, and recurring contracts. Sometimes it includes items that occur less frequently but are of routine business nature. These items are usually reviewed by the board in the Friday report 1 or more weeks before the board meeting. This gives directors time to ask staff questions or to consider a discussion about the policy implications of those items. The board votes on the consent agenda in a single motion. By its definition, a consent agenda is not debatable. In the case of the consent agenda, the superintendent's office has received no questions or comments regarding these items. Therefore, the consent agenda is presented as published for board approval.
Thank you, Dr. Saltzman. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Been moved by Director Lassane and seconded by Director Mason to approve the consent agenda. Does any director wish to remove an item from the agenda and place it in the new business section? Hearing no requests, we'll proceed to the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Consent agenda is approved. And we will move to section 8.0, board comments. This is an opportunity for directors to share their activities and comments as they relate to board service. And we will start with Director Nongar.
I truly appreciate, now this is new to me, but the recent board workshop that we did, I truly appreciate the time allowed and the information given to us in terms of planning for the workshop and coming to sort of the opportunity to educate myself. I really, really appreciate that, all the work that was put into it by the staff, by the superintendent and all that. It makes my job so much easier, and I feel so much better when I feel more informed in my role here. I also want to take the opportunity to actually call out Dr. Saltzman for putting himself out there. You've done an incredible job on Twitter, just being out there in the community, and I really, really applaud you for doing that. It makes the good things that are happening in the district very visible, and I think it's not gone unnoticed. I think the community truly appreciates that. And then I guess the final thing I'll mention is I had the opportunity to host at my workplace 2 interns that were actually at Economic Alliance, all due to the good work of Dana Riley Black. And they came to Community Transit, and they were 2 girls. For some reason, well, not for some reason, I mean, obviously they thought transit meant just drivers and male and men. And I took them around, met, I guess, gave them a round of all the leadership in our community. And we have actually a board, our directors are mostly women. And they were astounded to find that, hey, the other things beyond driving, beyond the obvious that they did. And it's like, oh my goodness, there's all these opportunities. And they actually went back thinking, hey, transit was cool. So I felt my job was done. But then at the same time, I think Pam and myself, we were there at the other internship opportunities that were with the city of Everett and Congressman Larson's office. And I think that's such a wonderful opportunity, such a fantastic thing that we're doing. And I can't speak enough of it, not only here, but even when I'm out and about in the community. And I wish my daughter had that opportunity 2 years ago. So, yeah. But we're on the good path.
Yes,
Good work.
indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Director Liz Sane?
I also want to acknowledge Dr. Salzman for putting himself out and educating me a little bit at a time on how I can make make my voice known in the public through Twitter. So I'm just learning how to do that. I had the opportunity, but I didn't have the knowledge yet of being at one of our schools in fact, I think it was yesterday. I was at Eisenhower. I took my nephew who had to get his schedule and pay his fines and pay for his ASB card. And while I was there, I said, I wish I knew how to tweet or do all this. So I'm learning. So it's going to take me a while, but there's a lot of great things happening this summer and at our schools, and we can share that with the public. And I think it's a good opportunity for us to allow the public to see what's happening in our schools through that medium. And I will try my best to use it and to use it wisely. So stand by, everybody, for heavy rolls, because I'm going to start using it. And I also do want to thank Dr. Riley Black for the internship program that we were able to, I guess, tag along and see what some of our interns were doing this past summer when she hosted the opportunity for the directors as well as other staff members to see some of the things that our interns are doing. And I thought that was really great. And I look forward to the future when we have more and more interns getting involved and seeing that. It was, like Director Nankar mentioned, our kids did not have the opportunity, but the future kids, like my nephew, may have the opportunity. So I'm looking forward to that program just mushrooming and getting bigger. Looking forward to that. And I'm real excited about school starting. It's not going to be too much longer before we have the opportunity to have all the kids in our neighborhood off the streets and in the schools, so I don't have to hear their motorcycles going down the street. But anyway, that's a different subject. I'm looking forward to them getting back and sitting in their chairs and smiling faces and getting engaged in education. So I'm looking forward to that. That's all I have to say.
Sorry, I was just motioning to a good friend of our Teacher of the Year who was hoping to get here from the para training in time. So I motioned her. She's gone, but I gave her a hug. So from her, they work together at Jefferson. So apologize for my sign language there. I just want to first congratulate all of the hard work of the teaching and learning team for the fact that it seems like for the years that we've been with Graduation Alliance, we've had 1s and 2s, and the summer commencement, which is always great that we can fill that room with all their family and friends, to have kids in the 10s now. And there was a young man there that they said was working on his realtor license, and I'm guessing a requirement is to at least have a high school diploma, and that we can give that to the kids. They're right up until they're 21, I believe. Their state approved, it's a right, and just, it was just exciting to see so many students. With the Twitter notification that Tambark would be ready for open next week, I just really want to thank all of those people that helped our bond get approved in 2016, with Tambark getting opened, with North being opened and nearing completion. At least the students can be in their classrooms while that work continues. The Woodside work is starting. All of the safety and security work that continues. Just a real thank you to all of those that supported our bond in 2016. And then best of luck to all of the leadership team next Wednesday. I know that is an exciting day, as well as maybe a gray herring day. And I mean gray hair, not herring, the fish. And I am excited. It's my daughter's first day of school in the Everett Public Schools, her last day of 13 years in the Everett Public Schools. And that thank you and best of luck next Wednesday. It's going to be an exciting day here.
It is indeed. Well, I want to start by thanking Director Lassane for reminding me to pay for my son's ASB card, which I've totally spaced. A few details you forget. Thank goodness I have this. Also, I want to recognize the Teacher of the Year and the nominee for being here. And, they come and we celebrate, and it's a few minutes long, but it really represents years and years of training and dedication and just doing things the right way. And it's always exciting to me when I get to see a teacher that my kids had. And Miss Williams got my kids to sing, and I don't know if that's a blessing or curse around our house, actually, but singing is a joyful thing. And in the summer workshop, we spent a significant amount of time looking at the bond committee's recommendation. And I just have to say, this is the first time we've pulled together a committee to do that kind of work since I've been on the board. And I was just so impressed with their thoroughness and thoughtfulness in how they put together that package. And I look forward to discussing that further and hopefully approving something that we can go out and continue the good work of Mr. Gunn's area of expertise and continue to improve our schools and keep them up to the standard of the education that's happening inside of them. And then lastly, I concur with fellow directors of Dr. Salzman, your first few weeks on board, and it's been a joy to have you out in our community and getting to know the Everett way and our people and our places around here. And I look forward to attending tomorrow night your third and final listening tour and hearing what our community has to say as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, I don't know how to do Twitter, so I guess I've got some things to learn.
Never too late.
Yep, I will learn it. Without being repetitive or redundant.
I know it's hard to last.
Yeah. Again, a wonderful to see Teacher of the Year and nominee. We are so fortunate to have great instructors and be able to honor them. The retreat that we had for a couple days last week was really amazing. We focused very much on capital planning, and I also want to give a big thank you to the Capital Bond Planning Committee. They did a phenomenal job in helping us sort through a very, very complicated issue. Their services and conclusions are much appreciated, and I know that we will continue to engage them and build on their knowledge. So that was very helpful. I also, I guess, just wanted to call out a couple things in our consent agenda. With school starting next week, there are so many community partners supporting our students. And in today's consent agenda were gifts from Albertson's Foundation, like $5,000 to Evergreen Middle School to help with their food pantry, to help students and families in need. Everett Public Schools Foundation, giving $27,000, so $1,000 to each school to help with student needs, and also some donations to help with uniform costs at Hawthorne. So there are a lot of needs, a lot of community support that's behind the scenes. I don't think it becomes evident to a lot of folks, and there's all sorts of other wonderful things going on. I know we're going to have a successful start to school with all of our great support and all of our instructors ready to go, and we are ready to launch into school year 1920. This is our last meeting of 1819 fiscal year. And it's been a great year. Big shout out, thank you to just everyone here you guys have all done phenomenal work, and your dedication is very much appreciated. So we will move on to Section 9, Superintendent's Report. Dr. Saltzman?
Okay, good evening, everybody. First of all, teachers will be back, and that's an exciting time. They've been back over the summer, but tomorrow's a big kickoff for many of our sites, and I know they're excited to come back. We're excited for the teachers to come back. Again, I want to thank the Teacher of the Year and the nominee, Mary Elizabeth Branch from Jefferson Elementary, is our Everett Teacher of the Year. Well-deserved, and thank you for making a positive difference in the lives of all students at Everett. We had summer graduation. 23 students earned their high school diplomas. And what a great moment, because that is an example of resiliency and kids that were truly focused and dedicated to get their diplomas. So let's honor them as well. Some really good news of stuffing the bus, looking at those smiling faces. This year, over 200 volunteers filled 1,900 backpacks full of donated school supplies for students all over the district. 1,100 backpacks went to elementary school students, while the other 800 went to secondary students. So throughout the event, over 1,500 views of this were liked on social media. Do you realize between July 1 and August 15th, our district offered free meals to students? It was another successful year with about 38,167 meals served in 6 weeks. Thank you to the entire staff and community partners for making reality for students really happen. On July 31st, I had the privilege of touring 4 of our summer intern sites with Mayor Franklin, Directors Lassane and Nankar, and Dana Riley Black. We went to the Representative Rick Larson's office, the City of Everett Fire Department, Dykeman Architects, and Whittier Elementary School. It was exciting to see our students engage in internship programs in the community. You talk about pride in Everett, and you talk about career path. That was a perfect example. Well, we have a lot of new hires coming in, okay? So many smiles on their faces to this amazing group of new teachers that are joining us this year. They enjoyed 4 days of learning all about the culture, climate, structure, and instruction of the Everett Public School System. And salutes to our HR department, because this doesn't happen overnight. This takes a year to get going and making sure that we hire the right people. So salute to our HR department and to our new hires. Okay, professional development. You talk about a growth mindset. Our summer has been busy preparing for the best year ever. There are professional development sessions for administrators, teachers, paras, office professionals, transportation, the maintenance staff, just to mention a few. The topics center around student achievement, use of technology in the classroom, and improving systems for the success of each and every student. Salutes to our entire staff that helped make this happen. I want to give you a construction update, as you heard before on Twitter about Tambar Creek, and thank you for mentioning that. Tambar Creek Elementary School, furniture and equipment has been moved into the building. Staff have occupied the building and begun to set up their classrooms. The play structure is nearing completion. Landscape, pavement, striping, and work on the playfield continue. Commissioning of the heating control system and lighting control systems are underway, and this school will be ready opening day. Again, salutes to our construction team led by Mike Gunn. And North Middle School, what a jolt to our community. What a beautiful school that's going to be for that section of town. The 200 building has been demolished and site work has begun for the new parking. The new synthetic turf is being installed over the football field, portion of the playfield as well. The building is undergoing final inspections in preparation for occupancy. The band and choir rooms will be under construction and completion this fall. Finally, our Twitter accounts are on fire. I think the Twitter stock rises every day about 4:01 p.m., okay? But we love sharing the good news with our community and how amazing our staff and students are here in Everett. Salutes to our staff, for we will be ready for opening day next Wednesday, September 4th. And let me just say this. From the custodians who make sure our schools are cleaned, who are bus drivers who will be picking up those students and be the first adult contact that they will see in the morning, to our central office staff that has prepared professional development, to our teachers and principals who have worked tirelessly getting ready for the opening day. That is what makes it happen. People don't see that every day. School does not stop in the summer. School goes year-round, and when you have a fantastic staff, it comes in results for students. Opening day will be outstanding for the youngsters, because when they come to school, they'll have every teacher in front of them, and it will show that we care about them too. So I thank in the entire community of educators, paraprofessionals, and all workers, and the great board of directors that lets us do our job every day. So we're going to have a wonderful opening. Thank you.
We'll look forward to hearing about that next
Yes,
meeting.
ma'am.
Yep. Section 10.0, strategic progress monitoring. There's no progress monitoring on tonight's agenda. The same is true for information discussions. So we will move on to Section 12, unfinished business, which is adoption of the operating budget and approval of Resolution 1213.
Good evening.
Hello.
All right. So I want to present to you the final operating budget for fiscal year 2019-20. It's really just a review of what you already saw on July 2nd, I believe. The F-195 appropriation numbers have not changed at all. So I will just do a brief review of general fund and then the 4 other smaller funds for you today. RCW requires that we do have a budget hearing and adoption on the same day prior to August 31. And that is the culmination of a public process that has gone on for much of the year, beginning with our adoption from last year's budget, and then our work session that we had with you on March 12th, and the July 2nd first reading of the budget. General fund, the July projection affirms that our beginning balance will be about $31.7 million. That is, keep in mind that includes about $6 to $7 million in restricted carryover funds, which we did budget to spend down in the following year, which is a major reason why the budget or the projected fund balance comes down to $23.3 million from 10.2% to 6.7%. Our multi-year forecast includes a reduction in fund balance, assuming that regionalization phase down does occur. If the legislature does not do something to avoid that, then we would need to do budget reductions beginning in 2021 and 21-22 to keep that fund balance up to between 5% and 6%. Our revenues include state funds of 78.5% of the pie and local levy funds of 11.6%. That is a shift from prior years. As you know, our local levy funds have gone down and our state revenues have come up. Just for our state in 17-18, the actual was 72.3% state and 19% levy, just for reference on how that has shifted over the past couple of years. This is a requirement by OSPI that we tell you how much of our maintenance, supplies, and operating costs, which are supplies, purchase services, travel, those kinds of costs, how much we get in state revenues, and then how much we spend. This year is different in that we split our everything, all of our expenditures between levy expenditures and general fund or state and federal expenditures. And so you'll see that when we don't include those levy expenditures, the revenues exceed expenditures for MSOC by about $2.7 million, but it isn't really unspent. We do spend it on the underfunded staff costs and, for example, release time for professional development that the state does not fund us for. We have three ways of looking at expenditures by state program, activity, and object code. By program, we have basic education, which is the lion's share of what we spend our money on, 71%. Special ed is about 14%. Career and technical ed about almost 5%. By activity, teaching and teaching support and central administration has gone down slightly this year compared to prior year. School administration and other support activities have gone up, and that's just slightly, and it's due to the opening of Tambar Creek. Object of expenditure, that is the most of our expenditures are salaries and benefits, as you can see. And the rest is maintenance supplies and operating cost, or what we affectionately call MSOC. Our other funds, ASB fund, we're expecting to keep the fund balance to keep going down over the course of the year to about 22% by 22-23. And debt service fund, we expect that to go down as well, but that is well in line with our debt service plan for principal and interest payments. Capital projects fund, also expected to go down because of the spending of our final bond projects. And that, of course, will change if we sell a new, or pass a new bond and then sell new bonds. Transportation vehicle fund expected to remain flat. The reason that we have that extra money in the fund every year is because the state doesn't give us our depreciation funds until the very last day of August, and so there's no time to spend it. We need to spend it at the beginning of the next year. And so there's always going to be that those funds left in transportation vehicle fund. Well, that was really quick, but I am happy to answer questions if you have any.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Do directors have questions?
I do.
like
I apologize, I wasn't here for the July meeting, so this is the first opportunity I've had. I have a couple questions. One on, this is more of a process question on slide 7.
Oh, yes.
Why, the way that the state requires the 4-year forecast now, why do we show a negative ending fund balance when in actuality we would never actually go there? Without, I mean, we would go through layoffs or whatever it took to not go underwater. How do we?
You're right. We wouldn't go there.
Require
However, we did want to show if we did nothing, this is what our state revenues are funding. This is what it would look like, so that they, because my understanding is that they're looking at these and they will hopefully see that there's still a structural problem.
Okay.
With the regionalization going down. But
So
you're right.
It's to demonstrate the inequities of funding and how it's affecting our district in particular.
Correct.
And then my other question was, do you happen to know what the loss of revenue is by the reduction in the regionalization factor?
The loss of revenue, I don't exactly know the dollar amount. It's probably about $6 million because it's about 2% each year.
Right. I'd be interested in knowing that at some point.
Sure.
Not urgent, but just to have a number in my head as we travel down that path the next few years.
Okay, we'll get back to you on that.
Thank you.
I have a quick question of clarity for Jeff. And Dr. Saltzman, this is also for you. Our state does a every other year budget, and so it's a longer session. So Jeff, is this coming year the budget year?
No,
It was this past year?
It just fell
Okay.
short because they got done on time.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so then this next year, they might tweak some things,
Yes.
but just so you
Yes.
know. But it was just for my clarity, as we're looking at a shortfall. Ooh, is there change coming? Oh, no, it happened. So, thank you.
It is a surprise when they end so early on a long budget cycle.
Yeah.
I have one question, Ruth, may I? I have one question, Ruth. Most districts, I know with our district, we have a policy to try and maintain our fund balance at 5%.
Yes.
Most districts Is that the case for them as well?
It varies. Some have a hard dollar amount, some have a percentage, but the ones that I've seen are in that range, 5 to 6%.
5 to 6%. And as we present this to our legislature, do they all realize that most districts would have a fund balance below that targeted amount in our 2021 year, when that is not the year where we have a change in our budget?
I'm sorry, can you repeat your question?
If
I think it's primarily, it's not all districts. All districts are across the state are in varying levels of circumstance. If you're in eastern Washington, there was, remember, kind of the Robin Hood effect.
Yeah.
So they're in a better position. They have been historically. It's generally the Puget Sound districts in the aggressive labor market that tend to be more likely to be like this, but particularly any district that has a regionalization phasing out. That is a subset of a much larger whole.
right.
So communicating that will be, it'll take some finesse to work through and help the uniqueness of varying districts. This fall, when we get involved with the local funding group, and as Director Mitchell goes to the WASDA conference, we'll begin to understand who are like and who are not, and try to develop common messages
Because
together.
we would essentially fall below what our targeted policy says we would want to maintain outside of a year in which the legislature are creating a new budget for the state.
Well, as Ruth mentioned a few moments ago, and as we've shown historically, when we talk with the bond rating agencies, they realize this is to communicate to the legislature and to communicate what status quo would be like. But we've proven that we make the right decisions, and we make them ahead of time, and we're thoughtful about our decisions. So generally, it's going to look bleak, and as the systems begin to adjust, for example, as they may consider increasing the levy authority from 2,500 to 3,000, because there's some districts that just won't be able to, like Seattle, to live within the current environment. Things will change. We just need to keep our legislature informed. So it's going to be a little different after the significant changes this year. And we'll talk about that in November when we get to the legislative priorities.
Okay, thank you.
Also keep in mind that you're approving today the 2019-20 appropriations only. And so when we come back to you in a year with the 2020-21 appropriations, it won't look like this. It will be a balanced budget. So,
Okay, thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Okay, next I will call for a motion to approve Resolution 1213, and then we'll have the public hearing and then take a vote. Before doing that, though, just want to say another thank you to everyone involved in preparing the budget, the Fiscal Advisory Committee, the Finance Department, HR Department, the Cabinet. I know that there's a tremendous amount of input that goes into it, a lot of assumptions and projections, and it's just a wide-reaching and encompassing process. And I know the F-195 is like a lot of numbers and all, but it's a very meaningful document. I think it tells the story of our district. It shows how we value, student learning and well-being, and that we value our employees. And if anyone outside this room is watching this, I would refer them to the website, where we've got a really great citizens guide to the budget. I think that will be updated as soon as we adopt this. And it really is very explanatory and helps understand a very complex school financing system. So thank you to everyone. As we move into fiscal year 1920. So is there a motion to approve Resolution 1213?
So moved.
And a second?
Second?
It's been moved by Director Lassane and seconded by Director Mason to approve the adoption of Resolution 1213. So we will now open a public hearing on the budget. Dr. Salzman, are there any public comments?
None at this time.
Thank you. We will close the public hearing. Is there any further board discussion? If not, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Thank you. You are to be congratulated. That's a lot of work. Well done. We'll move on to section 13. Yes.
Business?
New business. And this is our first reading of our proposed revision to our board regular meeting schedule for 2019-2020. During the retreat, we determined we could remove the October 22nd meeting, so the schedule has been updated to reflect that. And is there any discussion on that change? If not, we will move this to next meeting for second reading. So moving on to section 14, upcoming agenda items. Dr. Salzman, do you want to
Yes.
explain those?
At the September 10th regular meeting, we will be discussing the following: professional development systems progress, surplus technology and electrical equipment, and basic education verification.
Thank you.
Dr. Andrews, I will not be at that meeting because I'll be out of town for work. I'm sorry.
Moving on to section 15.0, executive closed session. We do have an executive session scheduled for this evening. And so from time to time, the Board of Directors will hold an executive session for a purpose authorized by the Open Public Meetings Act. Tonight, we will recess to executive session to discuss potential litigation and to consider the acquisition of real estate by lease or purchase when public knowledge could cause a likelihood of increased price. We expect the session to last 30 minutes, and no final action will be taken. So we will recess into executive session and say goodbye to all of you. And thank you very much.
Best of luck.